What happens when you mix raw talent,
I love you, babe, so bad, so bad.
heart-wrenching lyrics, and a commitment to staying authentic in an industry that often demands conformity? You get The Rose, a criminally underrated South Korean indie rock band that deserves a spot in the spotlight.
There ain't no other but you. Love the way that you design.
The Rose may not fit the typical K-pop mold, but that's exactly what makes them so remarkable. As a South Korean indie rock band, The Rose has taken a path less traveled. They write, compose, and produce all their music, allowing them to share pieces of themselves in every song. It makes sense that The Rose may not be the first band you think of when it comes to K-pop, but they're more than deserving of the spotlight. Let's look at all the reasons why The Rose is truly one of a kind and why this group deserves way more recognition than they have gotten. From busking to Billboard, their sound, their struggles, and their success have all contributed to the powerhouse they are today. So how did four passionate musicians go from playing music on the streets of Hongdae to performing at world-renowned festivals like Coachella? This story begins in 2015 when Dojoon and Jaehyeong, two young musicians, met while playing music in the streets of Hongdae. At the time, Dojoon was a trainee for DSP Media. Soon they found a third member, Hajoon, and formed the band Windfall, playing small gigs, sharing covers, and honing their sound. And just 1 year later, they finally added Woosung, who completed the group. With a shared vision and new name, The Rose was born. August 3, 2017 marked The Rose's entry into the mainstream. Their debut single, Sorry, with its powerful lyrics and unforgettable melody, was an instant success. Even the world took notice. Publications like Rolling Stone India praised Woosung's vocals, calling them immense and raspy in the best way possible. And just a few months later, Billboard named Sorry one of the best K-pop songs of 2017.
잊혀버린 난 tonight. 잊혀지지 않는 말.
But this was just the beginning. Within months, The Rose was selling out shows across Europe on their first tour, Painted Rose. With each performance, they were building a bond with the Black Roses. But with rising fame came the challenges that no artist wants to face. In early 2020, The Rose made headlines not just for their music, but for a lawsuit they filed against their agency. This was a turning point for the band. According to reports, the members of The Rose, Woosung, Dojoon, Hajoon, and Jaehyeong claimed they hadn't received any payment since their debut 3 years ago, despite a packed schedule of international tours and performances. On social media, fans reacted quickly, offering support for The Rose and condemning the agency's alleged mismanagement. Comments flooded in, with fans sharing their frustrations about how common these issues are in the industry. One fan pointed out, 3 years without pay, that's unacceptable. These guys deserve so much better. JN Star Company didn't exactly stay silent. They came forward with a lengthy statement addressing each claim made by The Rose. In their rebuttal, JN Star claims they have always followed contract terms and accused The Rose of causing disruptions in the agency's plans. But here's where it gets interesting. The company claimed these disruptions were due to personal issues such as problems with romantic partners and contacts with third parties that they say interfered with The Rose's career progression. This part of the statement caught a lot of fans' attention, and not in a good way. With their reputation and future in the industry on the line, The Rose made a bold move to legally break free from their agency, and it turned out to be the best decision the members ever made. Meanwhile, another chapter was looming over their heads: mandatory military service. The band's member, except for Woosung, enlisted one by one. As a U.S. citizen, Kim Woosung was exempt from military service and he focused on his solo career while other members were away. After the lawsuit was settled and the members reunited in 2022, The Rose established their own label, Windfall, and signed with Transparent Arts. Their comeback album, Heal, along with the Heal Together World Tour, marked a fresh start. By 2023, they reached a major career milestone, performing at the biggest international festivals, including Lollapalooza and eventually Coachella. Their latest album, Duel, even broke into the Billboard 200, debuting at number 83. Breaking free from the mold, The Rose has a story like no other in K-pop. In an industry where creative freedom is often limited, The Rose stands out as one of the few members that are entirely self-made, handling everything from songwriting and composition to production. After a long hiatus, The Rose released their first full album, The Heel, which turned out to be one of the best releases in recent K-pop history.
맑고 순수했던
Every song was crafted with thought and care, weaving together their own stories with those of their fans. To achieve this, they interviewed fans about their darkest, most traumatic moments and used these stories as inspiration for the album, aiming to heal others who may be going through similar experiences. And with that, they created an album that embodies the Rose's motto, Music heals. Fans across social media echo these sentiments, commenting on how they love the Rose's music because it reminds them of bands like Coldplay with a unique K-rock twist. Their dedication to art over commercial success is evident. In a behind-the-scenes documentary, they shared the creative process behind The Heel, and it's clear that the Rose's music isn't made with the charts in mind. It's made for the pure love of art and connection. Another thing that sets The Rose apart is their approach to self-image. Unlike many groups in the industry, they don't alter their appearances to fit unrealistic beauty standards. They let their natural selves shine through, whether it's in their music videos or in promotional photos. Fans have even noticed how members sometimes appear with visible acne or natural skin tones in their videos, a rare sight in the rigid Korean industry. Why they're bigger overseas than at home? The Rose has a dedicated fandom in Korea, but they're much more popular overseas than in their home country. This does raise an interesting question. Could their unique musical journey be the reason The Rose has found such widespread international success, even while facing challenges to gain even half of the same level of recognition in South Korea? The Rose's sound is possibly the main reason they are not as popular in Korea as they should be. Unlike most popular K-pop groups who usually have a polished, dance-oriented style with catchy hooks, The Rose plays indie music. Now, while the K-pop scene dominates the Korean music industry, indie rock appeals to a smaller audience there. It's just not the typical sound that mainstream Korean fans are used to. The Rose stands out with their raw instrumentation, live band vibe, and powerful lyrics. They create music that's emotional, introspective, and sometimes a bit darker compared to the high-energy, synchronized perfection you find in K-pop. While this makes The Rose unique, it also means their music doesn't easily fit in Korea's popular music landscape. But if they're not huge in Korea, where are their fans? The answer? Everywhere else. The Rose has a huge international following, especially in places where indie rock is more mainstream. They have an incredibly dedicated fan base in North America, Europe, and other parts of Asia because audiences in these regions are more accustomed to bands with live instruments and raw, soulful sounds. Their hit song, Sorry, for example, resonated with fans worldwide with its intense emotions and universal theme of regret. Western audiences in particular are drawn to The Rose's authentic storytelling, which reminds them of indie bands they already love. And guess what? When The Rose announced their international tours, tickets sold out fast. They have been welcomed with open arms across the globe, even playing at big festivals like Coachella. The Rose isn't trying to be the next big K-pop group. They're carving out their own path in the global music scene, and it's not an easy journey. In Korea, indie rock has a niche following, so The Rose has to work extra hard to reach fans at home. But without a single worry about chart performances, they are committed to making the music they love. The leader of The Rose. We can't talk about The Rose without mentioning Woosung. It's no secret that Woosung shines as the frontman for The Rose, but he's also finding his voice as a solo artist. With The Rose, he shares the spotlight and tells a collective story, but in his solo work, he tells his own story. He dropped 4444, his second solo album, on October 4th. But that's not all Woosung has been up to. He's been making his debut as a voice actor in Netflix's animated supernatural action series Gentry Chow vs. the Underworld. And talking about his bright solo career, we just can't miss the collab Woosung did with BTS's Suga. Woosung and Suga didn't just link up out of the blue. These two have been friends for years, so when Suga was working on his solo album, he sent Snooze over to Woosung with the instrumentals and his rap already laid down, along with about 80% of the lyrics. Woosung brought his signature style, adding what he called a little bit of the rose taste to the track, and the final result is something special. So, are you a fan of the rose? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NOONA-K for more.